Hey everyone, this is Tony from Iris again. Today we're going to take a look at our range of controllable cameras. Controllable cameras offer you the facility to pan, tilt and zoom the camera around, which is why they're referred to as PTZ cameras. At Iris we offer two main subcategories of PTZ cameras. Those cameras that are dome cameras, which are designed to be recessed in a headlining, and cameras that are gimbal style. Those cameras would be surface mounted and offer a slightly different function, and I'll explain as we go through the video. All of our cameras are at least IP66 or above rated. Most are 67. I think we have one that's 68 actually. So all our cameras are suitable for external applications and are tested in the most extreme environments, silt and seriously bad marine weather. Most of our dome cameras, well actually all of our dome cameras come with an A316 stainless steel bezel, so that obviously is the most appropriate material for the marine environment. What I'm going to do as well is run through our Iris 516 PTZ controller, give you an overview of that, and later in the film we'll move the camera around and we'll actually show you a part of our live showroom, so I can actually show you the PTZ camera in actual operation. So what we'll do first is we'll take a look at the Iris 106. The 106 is the smallest of our dome PTZs, and you'll find it's probably one of the smallest PTZs you would be able to find anywhere, whether it was a marine camera or not. What you have is a stainless steel bezel here, and the stainless steel bezel measures approximately 4 inches in diameter, and then there is the circuitry of the camera that's housed in this ABS plastic housing that sits above the bezel, and this is recessed into the headlining of the boat, and this only needs a clearance of 2.75 inches to clear, so this will fit in almost any headlining as well. Out of the base of the camera comes our pigtail cable, and there's 3 cables that need termination. One of the cables is our favourite BNC video connection with coaxial cable. There's a 2.2mm barrel jack for 12 volt DC power, and there's a black and red cable, not to be confused with power, that is RS485 telemetry. So obviously red's hot for the 485 telemetry. This gets wired into our 516 joystick, and I'll explain that in a minute. So with the dome of the 106, you simply unscrew the dome, the stainless steel bezel I should say, but it has a very dark smoked dome which makes it look really moody and you can't see the camera inside. And then here you have the mechanism of the camera head, and you can see how the camera tilts, pans, and inside here is a 10 times optical zoom lens, so that's pretty good magnification for such a small camera. There's also, it's going to be difficult for you to see here, but I'll try and find a camera shot of it for later for you. There is an automatic fan for cooling of the camera, so that really helps with the defogging. So if there's any issues of any condensation inside the camera, the fan will blow the condensation away. So that's also another really cool feature. So again, there you have a bank of dip switches inside the camera housing here, very easy to get to, and those dip switches enable you to change what's called the camera address. So if you have more than one PTZ on the boat, the joystick needs to know which PTZ it's talking to, so you would just flick the dip switch to say, hi, I'm camera 1, or change the dip switch setting on camera 2, camera 3, camera 4, etc. We've installed, well we haven't, but our dealers have installed camera systems onto some very large yachts where they've had in excess of 20 of these on one yacht, and obviously that's where the addressing comes into its own. So just to install the camera, let me take this back off again. See these 6 screw holes around here, so cut the hole up, connect the cable to the pre-run cable that you would have had up there, slot the camera up in the headroom, do the screws up, do up the bezel, and that's your camera installed. It's very cool, tiny, very functional marine grade PTZ. Let me put that down. Okay, I haven't got one here to show you right now, but that's a 10 times optical flush mounting dome camera with a smoke lens. It now has a big brother. The big brother is the 136. The 136 is absolutely same in design, but a little bit larger than the 106. In actual fact, it's about I think it's 7 inches in diameter as opposed to the 4 inches of this one. But inside the camera, instead of it being a 10 times optical zoom, you actually get 36 times optical zoom inside that camera. All the same features, similar cabling, but a much greater zoom. So that's the 106 and the 136 dome cameras from Iris. Okay, now sometimes the dome cameras really are quite often installed on the aft deck of a camera, of a boat, sorry, the aft deck of a boat, where you would need to either look around relatively close quarters on or around the boat, or possibly on a larger yacht might be towing a boat that they might want to keep eyes on, and sometimes they're actually installed into an engine room. The benefit of a 106 in an engine room is that with the zoom, there's plenty of zoom there to zoom right in on gauges. So if you want to keep a close eye on oil pressure, etc., actually in the engine room rather than on extension gauges on the bridge, you can zoom in to the actual engine room gauges on the engines themselves, or if you suspect there might be a leak, you can zoom right into a tube or a pipe to check on leaks, etc. So they're either installed on and around the boat on an aft deck, or any underhang type location, or an engine room. Gimbal style cameras are quite often installed higher up a boat because they tend to come with larger lenses for more distance work, and sometimes we refer to it as situational awareness. Okay, moving on to the Iris 116. The 116 is the first of our gimbal style cameras. Gimbal style cameras are different to our dome cameras in as much as they're designed really to be surface mounted as opposed to recess mounted. It can be surface mounted, this is the ball here, it can be ball up, or it can be surface mounted ball down. The camera has continuous rotation, which means it can continually rotate 360 degrees in either direction, obviously, and it can pan up, sorry, it can tilt, excuse me, it can tilt up to the 90 degree vertical. The circuitry in the camera will then drive the camera around and continue the tilt down through to 180 degrees. So it can pan 360 degrees and it can tilt 180 degrees, which is pretty cool. It's a very small camera, as you can see. It measures 16 centimeters top to bottom, which I think is just about 7.5 inches, and has a footprint across the base of about 5.5 inches. So it's a very small camera indeed. Inside the camera there's an extremely low light Sony camera module. That, when I say low light, it means it can operate in extremely low lighting conditions. It can actually operate it down to 0.001 of a lux. That's starlight to you and I. And when it gets below 1 lux, the camera will automatically fall into a monochrome video picture, so that the images will become monochrome, black and white, but it will continue to adjust its own gain settings so it can see in very low lighting conditions. It comes with 2 zoom options. It comes with a 28 times optical zoom, and it also comes with a whopping 36 times optical zoom. When you consider that most marine binoculars on the market are somewhere like 8 to 10 times optical zoom, it kind of gives you the idea of how powerful these zooms are on these cameras. When you actually get to see the video picture, which I'll show you a bit later through this review, you'll see that you have, in the bottom left corner of the screen, you have what we call a directional indicator. So the directional indicator on the screen moves as you pan this camera around through the 360 degrees. So the directional indicator will give you a reference as you're looking at the screen to give you an indication of where the camera is actually pointing. That's really useful to keep your awareness of where the camera is. If you want to get it back to the barrel quickly, you can press a home button and it will come back. A lot of the features of this camera are driven via the joystick controller, so it'd be a good time for me to put this down and move on to have a look at the Iris 516 waterproof marine camera controller. This is a multi-camera controller, so it can control any of the PTZ cameras in the Iris range: 106, 136, 116, 117, 118. Can control our 130 if you've still got an Iris 130 as well, and it can also control our range of PTZ thermal cameras that we cover in a different video. You'll see there's a range of 8 touch sensitive buttons that glow when there's power to the joystick, 2 banks of LCD display here that give you constant feedback and information from the cameras, and a very small thumb joystick here that enables you to pan and tilt the camera around just with the use of one finger. The joystick quite simple to wire up. There's a green and a white cable that connect for RS-485 telemetry, and it just needs 12 volts DC on the black and red to power the unit. So I think it's probably better to talk about this in more detail when we actually move the camera around and take a look at the cameras when they're actually in operation. So that's this section of the video. We'll take a quick break and then we'll come back and see the cameras working. Thanks for staying with us. Hey, it's Tony again here in our Fort Lauderdale showroom. As I said a little bit earlier, we're going to take a bit of time now looking at our live display here in the showroom, and I just want to give you a specific bit of information on our PTZ cameras, and we'll start with the Iris 516 multi-camera controller. So if you come and take a look down here, you'll see this is the Iris 516. It has a footprint of 6 inches top to bottom and 4 inches across, and it rises up by approximately just over ½ an inch here. It has a 3-layer LED display, and it has 2 rows of 4 buttons here that can control the functions of the joystick and the operation between modes. At the bottom there's a very sensitive finger controllable joystick that controls the operations of the camera. Okay, so we'll just give you a quick guided tour of the buttons and what they actually do. We'll start top left and work our way across. The top button here, you'll see it says Cam 1 at the moment. That is the camera select button. So in order to change which camera the controller is actually steering, you just go from say camera 1 through to this is 1 to 8, and then by a flick of the joystick it changes from 9 to 12 and 13 through to 16. We can on larger boats even increase the capacity, can go up to 24 or even 48 cameras if necessary, but the standard configuration, the 516, can take up to 16 PTZ cameras. So go back. I'm actually going to start controlling the Iris 116 in a moment, and I happen to know that the 116 in our showroom is camera address 7. So I'm going to select 7, and you'll see that number 7 has appeared in the top left corner now. The next button is monitor selecting. So at the moment I'm selecting monitor 1 for the camera. If I press monitor, again you can see up to 16 monitors could be selected. So you could have maybe a bridge of a mega yacht with 5 displays across the mega yacht. You can select which monitor the video output is going to. To get out of any setup mode like this, you always flick the joystick back upwards, and it will then reset to the default home screen of the controller. Button 3 at the moment is not used on the home screen of this particular controller, and button 4 along the top is a menu button. I'll come to that in a moment because that's a bit more in depth. So going to the bottom left, we've got zoom in and zoom out. So you keep your finger on in or keep your finger on out to zoom in and out. And then the last two on the bottom right is a home button which would drive the camera to a preset home position, which is typically the bow of a boat, and the last button that I haven't explained yet at all is preset selection. So it's got 1 to 16 here. So all of our PTZ cameras have memory positions, commonly known as preset positions, that you as a user can select and store. So it could be that you want the camera to go on a tour of the boat, so you can say I want it to go to the bow, I want it to go to port, I want it to go starboard, I want it to go to the stern, and you can set these up as favourite positions so you don't have to play around with the joystick when you want to quickly look at a location, because not only does it just go to that position of the compass rose, it also will actually zoom in or zoom out and save that exact setting. So it could be I want to look at the aft deck and I want to zoom in on the transom door. So once you've looked at the aft deck and zoomed in the transom door once, you can save that position as a preset. So whenever you want to look at that position again, you just call that preset and the camera will turn and zoom into that location. Okay, so earlier I mentioned the menu button. So if I press the menu button, it offers you two options at the moment: day, night and set. But if I press set, you've then got set to locate set the presets, set camera, or set a home position. We're going to say set camera first, because as I said earlier at the beginning of this introduction, the 516 can control multiple cameras throughout our PTZ range. So here is where we at the initial setup of the camera, we say, right, Mr. Camera, or Mr. Controller I should say, we are now going to be setting up a 116, 117, 118. Well, this is for our thermals, so 216, 316, 106, 130. So for the purpose of this session, we're going to be controlling a 116. So I'll tell the camera that it's actually that camera 7, address 7, is an Iris 116. Go back to the menu button again, and now because it knows the features of a 116, it knows that I can, for example, set a scan mode, because the 116 has a scan facility, and then it offers me 45 degrees, 90 degrees, 180 degrees, 360 degrees, and it says do I want to go slow or fast through that scan, and it will continue scanning at a set speed that we're setting up now at the angle that we've set until we hit the stop button. So what we do to begin with is, and hopefully I've got another camera looking at our camera that we're going to be setting up, we'll say okay, let's just go 45 degrees, and there I'm sure you can see on the other camera, the camera's going 45 degrees. Okay, wait, and that will go to and fro and to and fro and to and fro until we hit the stop button. Okay, now we've stopped that button. Now we want to get back to the home button again. So if we want the camera to go back to its home position, we press home and it will ping back around to where the home is. If we're not quite happy with where the home position is, we want to reset that, we press the menu button, then we press the set button, and then we press the home button. That will remember a home position. So if I say, right, I want somewhere completely different to be the home position because I'm not happy with the camera looking at the bow for whatever reason, I'm going to go menu, set home, push it up, then turn the camera away, and then when I set home, it will take the camera back to that home position. And that's a really cool feature. Now on the video output of the 116 camera, there's the directional indicator on the bottom left of the video screen, and obviously the home position is due north on that compass rose, or 12 o'clock I should say, and so wherever we say set home, we'll always take that directional indicator back to 12 o'clock on the compass. Okay, so that really gives you an initial indication of the Iris 516. What I'm going to do now is give you a quick tour of some of the features of the 116 camera. So if we pay our attention to the 116 camera, remember I said earlier that it has an auto flip function. If you could just look at the joystick for me for a second again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say to Mr. Camera, okay, we want to go in 180 degrees over and above vertical and back down to the other side. So what I'll do is I'm going to tilt the camera upwards, if you're looking at the camera from the other camera angle we have, round she goes and back down the other side. Now what you'll see there is, as if you were looking at the output from that camera, the video image would actually have gone up, the camera spins itself round, and then the camera goes down again, so that the video image obviously stays in the correct orientation throughout the whole tilting sequence. So that's a really cool feature. As you can see, the joystick has something called proportionate control. So the faster I turn the joystick, the faster the camera goes round. If I just want the camera to turn a little bit, I just touch the joystick and the camera will turn slowly. Move the joystick more, the camera will go faster. Want to touch it a little bit and it goes slowly. That enables you to really have more finesse over the control of the joystick, over the camera, sorry. And lastly, as you zoom in on the camera, what will happen now is, because the camera knows that we're zoomed in, what happens is it won't allow me to pan fast, because the image is magnified so much. Pan fast and you're very likely to miss the object that the camera zoomed in on. So the joystick will only allow you to pan slowly until such times as I zoom out again, and when I've zoomed out, then the camera will allow me to pan at full speed. You can actually do a complete 360 revolution in just under 2 seconds. So it's great for if you wanted to have a type of situational awareness of every object around you in a crowded environment, in maybe a busy regatta or in a hectic marina. You can have the camera going round and round and round, looking for obstructions or obstacles all the time. It's a really versatile camera. The 116 is as highly featured marine PTZ as you'll ever find, and it's been one of our best-selling cameras for years. So this is Tony Digweed at our showroom here for Fort Lauderdale. Please stay tuned for more instructional videos on our range of marine camera products. Thank you for taking the time to watch.